Good morning, third grade. It is cold and blustery today, but hopefully it will warm up. Today is Monday, and you're remembering the second part of Moses' life. I read you a story on Thursday that told us about Moses after he grew up. Here he is being cast into the river as an infant in his reed basket. And someone special was always looking out over him and making sure that he was safe. And then he met some friends in Egypt as well. But then some not very nice things happened to him, and he had to leave Egypt. And when he did that, he had an experience that is a very famous experience, and many people tell the story of Moses when he walked through the desert and discovered a burning bush. So that's the picture that we're going to draw for today. So it's from story 13, and it's going to go on page 14, and it's going to start in the desert. So we're going to need a little lemon yellow, a little golden, some brown and orange and red and sky blue. And we have to remember that Moses, when he's in the desert as a grown man, has to protect himself. And so frequently when in the desert, people wear white. Now, obviously we have no white. So we're gonna have to use the trick of a shaded drawing to shade around the white of the page and allow it to be his cloak. So we're gonna do Moses last because he's a little tricky. And we're gonna start with the golden, and he made golden sand. And then you can add a little brown to your golden, and then in comes a bush. I'm going to choose the right side of my page for my bush. And we'll do some of it green, but because it's going to be on fire, we're going to have some of it stay brown so we can show the fire in the bush. And then my Moses is going to be walking on this side of the page, and I'm going to use my blue to bring in the sky. I'm going to show you as best as I can while I'm holding the camera at the same time because I'm still waiting for my tripod to come that will hold my camera for me. And I'm going to imagine where Moses is going to be. It might help if I use my lemon stick and have just the slightest circle here. I'm going to make him a little smaller for the top of his head. And then his face. So here is his face and his neck. And it's going into his shroud. So his shroud is here, coming around his head. And then all the way down into the sand. And then, so here I am imagining this is his head. Here's his body, all the way to the ground. It's gonna come all the way down. And here is, you can use your stick brown if it's a little easier. Here is his arm. And his hand. Now, if someone has a fun technique for allowing the shade of someone's body to emerge out of white, then they could share that with their classmates. And then in comes the sky around his shroud. And you can let the blue come right up to where you imagine his robes would be. And then all to it down to his face, using that same stroke. Kind of like the wind is coming from behind him. All around his body, leaving room. And then I'm going to have a little fold in his cloak and another little fold, another little fold. And there it is, Moses' shroud, and then it comes all the way down into the desert sand. And you might even want to mark just the slightest lemon yellow. There, that's the beginning. And you can bring in your flame all along the bush. A little golden. And some orange. And you can play with the way that the flame looks coming off this bush and the heat, and then where the sky meets it. And it can be green on the other side, in among where the flames are. And a little golden, dry, a nice dry bush. And then the rest of the sky. And one thing we don't want to forget for Moses is his staff, because it comes in handy later. And there he is. And here is his staff. All right. Enjoy the new story, third grade.